Hey everyone, welcome. So I'm heading up to Sacramento now and getting ready to drop off some more documents at the Secretary of State. Sorry for the shaking, my car needs some help. I need to do a video on that too. My mobile office, keeping it in shape or well tuned up or whatever you call it. Hold on. I don't want to run up these people's rear. Okay. So I just wanted to share that I received a call from a guy or from a lawyer, and they start out the conversation. We need something notarized for this guy. It's a power of attorney. Can you help us? Yeah, no problem. I can help you. So I go through the standard questions. Do they know what they're signing? Do they have current ID? All that fun stuff. And so after that, get through those questions, then they're like, hey, we need an apostille on these documents. So it started out to be a power of attorney, one document, notarized, no problem. Then, can you get an apostille? Yes, I can do that. Okay, no problem. Then, hey, we have, it's two documents now, and they both need to be notarized and apostille. Okay, no problem. So I tell them how much it's going to be, and say, okay, we're going to make the arrangement. Can you do it tomorrow? I said, yeah, I can do it between 1 and 2. So this is for yesterday. I said, okay, great. So I said, I will send you a link so you can pay the fee, and so I said, okay, great, perfect. So then he calls me back and says, hey, the guy is not in your city. He's actually in a city that's 30 minutes from you. So they were going to just give up on me, just like, oh, I'm going to go find a closer notary. I said, no problem. I can do it. It's not a problem. So I said, no problem. I'll send you the link. So I send the link. I just added $25 to go the extra distance or something for travel, and I get over there. Well, first off, I send the link to pay, and I told the guy, I said, you need to pay this, because they asked me, do we have to pay before or after you go and notarize it? I said, well, I can go there and notarize it, but you will have to pay in full before I go to Sacramento, because I'm not going to notarize something and then drive all the way to Sacramento and fork out money and then hope I'm going to get paid later on down the road. I'm not going to do that. And luckily, I haven't been in a situation where that has been an issue, where somebody says to do something and then they're like, I'm not paying or anything like that. I haven't had that opportunity or that experience. But I just want you to know that, all these little things when you're, I guess I'm going to turn this into about pricing, is when somebody asks you for a price, okay, they might want to know the price, but really you have to be careful, because especially when you deal with this kind of work, apostille work, they'll tell you one thing. Like, the guy asked me for one document, notarization, what it was going to cost to take it up there. Well, then it changes into 2 documents. And I've had this happen a couple times, where you give a price, and then I had one where I showed up, and it ended up to be like 4 documents, and each document needed to be notarized with four people on each document. So 4 notarizations on each document. I'm like, okay. So it's hard to give a price and then, you collect money and then go back and say, yeah, I need X amount more from you. I mean, that one that I just told you, that example, that one I got there and I actually collected when I did all the work. So I collected then and then went to Sacramento. But I guess is what I'm saying is, this is, there's a lot of people that give a price, and even if you send out a link or however you're getting paid, if it's you do it through Square or whatever method you're doing to invoice somebody to get that money ahead of time before you perform the work, just be careful that you give a disclaimer to people. And I do that on my when I send out a link, I say this is for I said this is for 2 documents, 2 notarizations, and travel and shipping, and the government fees for all that he, what he was encompassing there in that job, So if I got out there and then, we magically have a 3rd document or 4th document or whatever, I'm going to say, that's great. What you paid for was X. So they can't come back and say, well, you quoted us a price and now you're changing it. Well, yes, I did quote a price, but it was based on this. And so you just have to be careful that you make sure that it's very clear as to what they're paying for, what your fee encompasses. And that's why it's good to have an itemized invoice, so you have all that detailed out, so that when they get it, it's like, this is what you're paying for. It comes out to X amount of dollars. They pay it. Then they can't come back and say, well, you told me it was going to be this amount, and you gave them a dollar amount, but it's not itemized. It's like notary services $200 or whatever the fee is. You're like, well, yeah, I paid $200 for notary services, and you are trying to get more money out of me after we agreed to $200. So that does not make our profession look good. Even though we're in the right here, it makes it hard for other notaries as well, because though they might have a bad taste because you didn't itemize it, and then they'll go to another notary and it gets worse, because the trust is lost, integrity, all those great words that we are associated with being a notary public. We need to do our best to communicate perfectly what is involved in our price. Okay, so if somebody calls up and says, I need a document notarized, and I'm gonna come to you at your office or whatever. Okay, it's $15. I know the answer. That's the maximum I can charge, and that's what I'm going to charge you if you come to me, right? Okay, and then if they say, hey, but we need you to come to me, we need you to travel to us, whatever. Okay, well, that's a different price, so I'm going to tack on travel, and then I could say, well, if you're in this location, it's this dollar amount, plus this is the price per notarization, and so forth. So I verbally tell that, but then I'm going to send an invoice that says travel X amount of dollars, notarization $15 per notarization. You told me over the phone 2 or whatever it was, and so it's going to be 2 times 15, and then it adds up, and here's the total. Okay, so I'm just trying to share with you that should be a best practice for you to get in the habit of doing, to be itemized. Not only will it help you at the end of the year in taxes, but it's going to help you and your customer build that relationship of trust, because they're going to see on paper, well, this guy told me, $50, and it says $50, and it's itemized out, and that's how he got up to $50, not, it's $50. Okay, well, that doesn't tell the person that, half of that $50 is going to for travel, and a piece of it's going to be paid to the shipping company or whatever, and then your notarization fee and whatever else fees you're throwing in there. You know, if I'm charging you $1 to print out your document or whatever it might be, you know, just have it laid out so that they see it and they know what they're paying for. And, you know, I know I'm kind of talking about this. I mean, it's pretty obvious because we go to the store. When we go to the grocery store, for example, we get an itemized receipt. They don't just say, hey, you bought groceries, it's $200, right? You'd be like, that's $200? Well, hey, that's great, but I want to know how you got up to $200, right? So they give you an itemized receipt and they say, oh, yeah, you paid $20 for hamburger meat, okay? And you paid, you know, $5 for a gallon of milk, or, you know, whatever. You know, it's going to be itemized so everybody can see, oh yeah, that's how I got up there. And then, you know, if there's a problem in your invoice, let's just say you said, okay, $50, and you itemized it out, and there was a problem on their end or something. Let's just say they, you know, told you something wrong or whatever, and then they see, hey, you made a mistake here because you said we told you that we need to print the document. Now we don't need that anymore. Can you remove that? And you're like, no problem. I'll remove that charge because I didn't perform that service, right? And they can see that, you know. Now that's not good in your favor, because if you have this flat fee mentality where you're like, well, $50 is the minimum I'm going to go out. It doesn't matter if I'm printing documents or you know, providing whatever service, you know, traveling and whatever else, whatever services you're asking them to pay for. That's not going to work for you, okay? So in that case, I would say if you're saying I have a minimum, you need to just communicate that I will include all these services for you. My minimum charge is $50. So it will be $50 for me to complete this service for you. I will itemize it out. That will be my minimum to perform the service for you, unless there's any other additional fees that I need to add on because you're changing the scenario, you know. So you just have to be clear. That's all. Just be clear. My minimum's this, you know, so they can't go that. So the reason why I kind of know a little bit about this, because I've been in the restaurant business as a computer provider. And so what would happen, there's this restaurant in San Francisco that I would go to, and you go up there, and he was a deli, and you'd say, well, I want a sandwich, and I want extra cheese on it. Okay, no problem. Extra cheese, we're going to charge you 50 cents more. Okay, yeah. So he adds all the extras on there. He hasn't listed, yeah, I have extras, and it's going to cost you, he'll have that on the menu, extra this, extra this, extra this. But it's like, then I actually convinced this business owner to do this, actually, because he was taking it and he was like, I have an omelet, okay? Because of the breakfast and deli situation. So he goes, I have an omelet and it's $8 for the omelet. But if they don't want like olives or something, then I deduct off the charge. I said to him, why are you doing that? Your omelet, if you have an omelet on your menu that has all these things on it and it's $8, then you charge $8. If they don't like olives, that's fine. They can take the olives off, but you're not going to be sitting there deducting your fee because they don't like olives. You have a minimum. That's your minimum for the product, okay? Right? So that's the same thing here with notary work. You have a minimum, whatever that minimum is. If they come to you and you're going to go on the state recommended or the state maximum fee is $15. Okay, that's your minimum, that's your maximum and minimum if they come to you. Okay, I guess you could take a lower fee. I mean, but that's an internal thing, right, for your company, right? So you're gonna say, okay, this is my minimum, $15, if that's your minimum, or you can negotiate if you're gonna do that. But whatever your minimum is, you're saying, this is my minimum to do the job, okay? So that's all I'm saying. I just want you to think about that, communicate that with the consumer. And if you are a consumer, make sure that if you're dealing with the notary, know what you're paying for, what that charge is, what's included in that fee. Okay? If it's $50 and they're charging you $15 for the notarization, okay, great. And then you say, well, what's the balance? What does that go toward? Okay, well that goes toward travel to you. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. That's all. Right? And if you don't like that fee as a consumer, because you're like, well, I don't want to pay $50 for you to come to me, then you say, then the notary or you yourself say, okay, I'm going to find a cheaper place. And in that case, you would go to an establishment to pay the fee that they charge at the establishment. Okay? So normally in California, that's $15 is the maximum fee we can charge, and that's normally what notaries charge is a maximum, because we don't have people coming through our doors like McDonald's, so we have to make a living, so that's what we charge. But there are notaries that they want to charge less, and they do that, and you can find those notaries. Okay, I'm not telling you have to charge that dollar amount. All I'm saying is just communicate that information to the consumer. Okay, with that, I will let you go and have a great day.